Hey everyone, welcome to my channel, Kid with Souls of Brooklyn. And today, a very interesting and different topic. Stay tuned. Hey everyone, and welcome to my video today. And today I find myself in Sarasota Memorial Park here in Sarasota. It's a cemetery right off of Tamiami Trail. And I thought it'd be an appropriate place to do a video talking about ashes. And a lot of people leave ashes at Disney, whether it be California or Florida. So for the purposes of this video, I'm going to be talking about the park in Florida, Walt Disney World. So stay tuned, and I think you're going to find it interesting. I'm going to talk about the laws, the rules, what happens if you spread ashes at Walt Disney World. We call it a Code A. I used to work security in Magic Kingdom for over 7 years, and I'll tell you a little bit about, folks, what happens when we actually catch you. I still say we because I feel like I'll always be a cast member, and one day probably be working there again. But in the meantime, the we always stays in it because a company that was very close to my heart and still is. They just gave us a grant for the Waffles Foundation, which is for my son. So kind of all ties in. So stay tuned. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll keep some folks company here for a little bit as I do the video. So this cemetery is right off of Tamiami, which is the main artery here in Sarasota. So I guess it's kind of reminiscent of the cemetery back where I grew up, Greenwood Cemetery, in a sense that it's right off of a main street. That's like the third biggest cemetery in the world. So I thought it'd be an interesting place to come to. I never come directly in here, and it's very quiet, and obviously it's a cemetery, so that's great, but you're right off of a main street. So let's delve into it now about ashes, and let's talk about that. Ashes at Walt Disney World. Hey, check it out. We got a squirrel. See that? There's always life, no matter where you go. Look at him. There he goes up the tree. There he's like, Al, what are you doing here? This is my domain. So interestingly enough, and you'd have to check your own state for the specific rules, but interestingly enough, that it's not illegal to put ashes on public property in the state of Florida. And I'll put that little ordinance up over here for you to see. So you have that, but for those who know Disney World really well, like I do, you also know that Walt Disney World is private property. So that comes into a whole different facet. You can't drop ashes on private property without permission. Now, even though you really can't do it, I can tell you from working security at Disney, I was a foreman at Disney for a long time and responded to a lot of these things which we call the Code A standing for ashes. There was quite a few that I responded to. And all right, what would be a typical response? We'd hear over the radio Code A, and we'd show up, and typically someone would see someone dropping ashes. There's lots of cameras in Disney. It's a very safe place. Thankfully, that's why not too many things happen. You get your small little squabbles here and there, but things happen and kind of find out about it really quickly. But, you respond to such a thing, and Osceola and Orange County deputies are there at the ready. They make a lot of money in overtime. They love working at Disney. It's called Sector 6. If you're familiar with Osceola in Orange County, Walt Disney World has its own sector. It's called Sector 6. Sometimes you see Polk County deputies there, but not too often. So what happens if someone's caught dropping ashes on the Haunted Mansion, which is probably the most popular place that people drop ashes? Well, typically, the people are brought up to what we call MO5 or MO6, which is the security area of Disney. It's right behind the Magic Kingdom in terms of right off of Main Street. And pretty much the folks are sat down and they ask them, what happened? Why did you drop the ashes? What are you doing? Who is that? What's the story on that? And typically the folks are usually very authentic, and they say, hey, look, that was my grandfather, and he spent many a day coming to Disney with us, and his last wishes were to be have his ashes spread at Walt Disney World, and this is what we did, and it's there, and that's the story. So at that point in time, usually the duty manager, who is the a lot of people misconceive the real power in Walt Disney World, which is of course security managers have a lot of power, but ultimately the duty manager, which is just a regular manager that takes on running the park for the night. Now, typically they'll do that on a regular basis. You might have 5 or 6 or 7 that'll do that. But because it's a random thing, depending on what duty manager is actually on duty, can sometimes determine the odds. Just like you'd be in a courtroom and you'd have a judge. Judges can be, the law is the law, but judges can be strict, judges can be lenient. So much in the same way, you might get one that's really strict, and in a worst case scenario, it's in Disney's power to trespass you from Disney property. And then that could be all of Disney, it could be the Magic Kingdom, it could be all the property in Florida, it could be all the property that Disney has in the world. It all depends. Now, from my experience, I could tell you, most typically, the people weren't arrested. They explained the situation. They explained it was the loved one. That's what they wanted. And at that point in time, they will be informed that a HEPA vacuum is going to be taken out. Custodial is going to come out. They're not going to be able to get the ashes back. And the family members are fine with it. They say, okay, that's fine, And that's what typically happens. If someone raises a problem and they get out of hand or whatever, that's when, of course, they could be arrested technically or trespassed off the property. But more often than not, that's usually not what happens. And by me saying that, I'm not really encouraging anyone to do that, especially on a ride. That's the thing I would really say to stay away from, because when you do that on a ride, in case of the Haunted Mansion or Pirates of the Caribbean or something like that, the whole ride has to be shut down maybe for an hour, 2 or 3. You're ruining the day for a lot of guests who are paying expensive prices to go into, a place where they want to really have a good time. Again, I'm not endorsing this. I mean, for me, I lost my son, Matt, as everyone knows, Waffles, as everyone knows, and we run a foundation, the Waffles Foundation. And for me, we're a Disney family, and as much as we love Disney and things like that, that wasn't where I ended up having Matt. And Matt loved a particular lake in Florida, so that's where Matt is, at a lake in Florida on public property. And that's what we did. So I wouldn't suggest it, but in some sense of the word, I think that Disney, if they, I've always joked around that Disney should have, I call it the permanent vacation club. Because Disney has so many acres and they've got as big as Manhattan, I think they could probably open up a cemetery somewhere on Disney property, and people would line up. I'd be the first one to go in there and do it. I'd call it the permanent vacation club, and I think it would be great. But if people go and they put it somewhere like in the Rose Garden or something like that, there should be a spot maybe designated in each park, a quiet little spot. Because, no matter what people do, no matter what rules Disney has, speaking about rules, here's the rub of the whole thing. Technically, like I said, it's private property, but I'm going to put up right here all of the prohibited items that Disney has for bringing into the Magic Kingdom. And of course, I know them very well, having worked them for so many years. But if you look at this list of prohibited items, ashes are not prohibited to bring into the park. And what's the reason for that is because, well, number one, ashes, once they're ground down like that, are not toxic. So it's not really something that could, cause a fire or nothing like that. They're not poisonous. Some people argue that they're not great for plants, but we're talking like tremendous big picture here. When you have between 20 and 70,000 guests, and I'm going to use the Magic Kingdom as an example, coming in on a daily basis, you're not worried about someone really bringing ashes in. And, at Disney, they use the most sophisticated system. It's called the Evolve system. And it's the most sophisticated system. I've worked with it. It's a fabulous system. It actually locates where on the body your weapon is or a prohibited item that, it picks up. So it's not worried about picking up ashes. They're worried about the big picture. They're worried about weapons. They're worried about explosives, things like that. So, technically you are allowed to bring ashes into the park. And what's funny about the whole thing is that I'll show you little pictures of them here. Disney is now doing these popcorn holders the last 2 or 3 years. And, you know, you might wonder, how does someone bring ashes into a park? Well, it's tailor-made. You know, you look at these popcorn, I have a number of them myself. I have a Mr. Toad one, I have a Figment one, which I love, I have a Symbol one. Now, these are tailor-made to put ashes into. They're the perfect size. So how are people bringing ashes in? That's one possible way. Or, you know, just kind of walking them in, you know, with their pocket or in a carriage or something, because they're not going to ring when they go through the Evolve system. So they're very easy to bring in. And maybe, there we go. We might as well get Jesus in here and some of the folks out there. But yeah, it's kind of tailor-made for such a thing. So anyway, I thought this would be interesting to do a video on this, and because it's such a prevalent thing, and even say how often it happens, but I could tell you from my own experience, I would say at least a minimum of a couple times a day, or maybe at a minimum a couple times a month that you know about it. So anyway, that was pretty much it. I thought that would be something different to talk about. And who knows, if you're out there, maybe write into Disney and tell them, you know, hey, let's use Al's idea, Disney's Permanent Vacation Club. Or we could do like a little, you know, they already got a pet cemetery. We could do like a little spot where people could be spread out. Ashes could be spread, you know, and you spend all your time at Disney. I mean, like I said, if they do that Permanent Vacation Club, I'd be the first one to sign up for that. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Tell me what you think. Like I said, it's interesting, and like I said, you'd be surprised all the things that happen there on a daily basis. And so who knows? So I love you guys. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you on the next video. Stay safe, and you got to enjoy your life. Life is very quick. It goes by very, very quickly. And if you're thinking about doing anything you shouldn't be doing, you know, you're having problems, please call the Suicide Prevention Hotline. Let me put that hotline up for you right here. Here's the Suicide Prevention Hotline. Like I said, my email is wafflesfoundation@gmail.com. I'm not a trained psychiatrist or psychologist. I'm just a grieving dad who knows what it is to lose a son who he absolutely adored and loved. He was 27 years old, and your life is never the same after that. Every day is spent, you know, in mourning. You try to keep on a positive face, but it's very difficult. In our case, we started a foundation. Matt loved teaching kids how to play music. He was a fantastic musician. So we kind of get a little positivity back and some goodness that we do for the community, for the world, for everybody out there. And that's about it. So like I said, if you, believe me, life is wonderful. Go to Disney, have fun, go on the rides, do what you love to do, take out a boat, go fishing. As you can see, you know, we're all going to get here sooner or later, either here or whether you're at Disney and as ashes or whatever. But as peaceful and quiet as this is no fun. What's fun is doing what you like to do. Maybe that's reading, maybe that's gardening, maybe that's whatever you like to do, driving your car. But there's plenty of time for this in the future going forward. And of course, we all know that there's more to it out there. I know Matt is with me every single day. I just had a surgery. A lot of times I do my videos with my glasses. I don't know if I think I look cool in them, but today I actually need to have them on because I had surgery in the right eye, and it's doing pretty well. You can see it's not red. Had a wonderful surgeon do it for me, and it's doing really well. I have optic nerve damage, but it's hopefully going to restore some of the sight. And I'm glad there was no redness, no swelling, no infection. So anyway, that's why the glasses. So I love you guys. Take care of yourself. And as they say at Disney, I'll see you real soon. Please subscribe. Please drop me a line. Tell me what you think. And I'll see you in the next video. So for now, this is Al signing off from Kindred Souls of Brooklyn and the Waffles Foundation. I love you all, especially you, my son. I miss you. I love you. And one day we'll meet again. I know you're with me as my guardian angel at all times. And thanks for being with me yesterday, as always, through that surgery. Much appreciated and loved. And, you know, you're always there for us and me. So take care, folks. See you in the next video. Bye-bye. Look at this. I just had to show you this. Jesus, who, you know, sometimes I have my arguments with him. But I was just talking about my son, Matt. And we have here, "Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." And it's from the Gospel of St. Matthew right there. So it's probably Matt giving me a message that he's hanging out with me as always, which he's always welcome to do in between his sets in the next life. So big shout out to Matt once again. Love you guys. Take care of yourself. So one last thing before we go. This is Figment, my favorite popcorn holder, but they're all kind of big, as you know, spacious. So just to show you in a quick idea how easy and quick it would be, and check that out. Ample room inside of Figment. That's popcorn that comes with Figment, multicolor. And that would be how easy it is. You could put that around your neck, and presto changeo, snaps closed, and voila. You have a Figment. You win 1 cent, or in this case, ashes. All right, folks, thanks again for joining us. Have a wonderful night. Take care. Bye-bye.